Hello, farmers, and welcome to another episode of the Harvest Season. My name is Al.
And my name is Jonnie.
And we're here today to talk about cottagecore games.
Woo!
What happened to diving, you might say? We're not farmers, we're divers. No, not this week you're not. Because complicated reasons. But we're not doing the last episode of Dave the Dive the Month today. We're doing that probably in 2 weeks' time. But who knows? You'll find out why. I'll explain it in the next episode why this has all changed. But yeah, I had all this organised and then something happened. And now we're changing things up. But woo! So that will come. Don't worry. Your final episode. Maybe a break might be good. I don't know. I've still not heard from anyone whether they think it's too much Dave the Diver or not. But don't worry, we're not going to go back to that for most games. It was just a funny one-off thing. We'll see what people think of it. Yes, stuff to come. Watch this space. This episode, I'm back from my month away, so we are going to talk about news. That's it. There's so much news. I didn't count at the last moment, but there's like over 20 pieces of news to talk about.
Yeah, there's a lot of news.
It's quite wild.
That's what happens when you go away for a month, Al.
I know. But, you know, it's fine. It's good. What's the worst that can happen? This is what the worst that can happen. Before that, Jonnie, what have you been up to?
What have I been up to? I tried a cute little game called Creatures of Ava, which is available via Game Pass.
I feel like I've heard of this, and I'm trying to remind myself what it is.
It's, I guess it's kind of like a open world creature tamer with a giant asterisk next to it. Sort of adventure-y style game. And it's kind of set out, it's a game that's set out into zones, and I was playing through the first zone, and I was having a really good time with it, and I was like, this game's like really cool. So the core concept is, there's a problem that I have with the game, and it's part of the story that they're telling. I guess mild spoilers for the story, but it's the concept of the game is that you are there to save the planet that is dying by capturing all of their animals and convincing the inhabitants of the planet to leave, which comes with a lot of...
Is that saving a planet, or is that saving what's on a planet?
Well, it's very much saving what's on the planet.
Yeah.
And it comes with very strong, like, I guess, colonial-style overtones of, like, look at me, the outworlder that's here to tell you, the locals, what is best. Which, you know, is... Like, they are telling an appropriate story with it, but it doesn't necessarily make it fun to be playing the character with the colonial vibes from it. Anyway, that's not the, like, they actually, I think, handle it in a way that's likely fine. The taming mechanic is music, so you have a flute and different creatures will respond to different songs, and you form a bond with them, and you take them to the bot that zaps them up, so you don't permanently get any of them, but when you've tamed something, you can pair with it and use it to explore the world, and each of the creatures has different abilities, which I thought was a really cool concept, right? You know, you tame something and then it can help you access a new area. And then I got to the second area, and all of the creatures looked slightly different, but they all had the same abilities. And the game started to feel very copy and paste at that point. Kind of like they had, you know, and there was only 5 different creatures in the first area, right? So it wasn't like there was a massive, you know, it wasn't like I'd explored 20 different creatures and then they'd run out of ideas. No, I explored 5 and then it felt like they ran out of ideas, which was a bit of a shame.
Yeah. So I guess don't go into it expecting lots of, like, you know, if you go into it because it's a creature collector, you're probably going to be disappointed, but...
Yeah, 100%.
How's the exploration and the movement and stuff like that?
It's fine. It's neither good nor bad. It kind of feels like going back to the sort of PS2 era of games, like where exploration was largely just walking around the world and you had a jump and you would do certain things that would break down a wall, but until then that wall was kind of largely just there. It feels very reminiscent of that.
Okay.
which is it's neither good or bad. It's good in the sense that it feels like intentional, but it's bad in the sense that exploration games have moved well past that as sort of the baseline.
Yeah, you're not really exploring so much as following a maze.
Correct.
Okay. It's interesting. It looks quite nice.
Yeah, it does look nice. Also weird thing, so I got to the end of the second area, and when you finish the story there, the game basically tells you, like, once you leave, you can't come back to this area. So be sure you've done everything. And I'm like, but I'm not sure that I've done everything because there's no tracking of whether or not I've done all of the things. So that was unfortunate.
And you really can't go back to the area?
I don't know, because at that point I was kind of like, I think I'm okay with the time that I've had with this game, and I put it down.
Okay, fair enough. That seems weird to have distinct areas, but then say you can never go back to it.
Yeah, and I think I get why they did it. I think there's mild story spoilers. Is there justification for doing it? But I don't think that's a good reason for doing it.
So are the areas destroyed?
No. I think it's more to do with, like, characters leaving the area and needing to be in another area, and them kind of just being like, well, the story doesn't bring you back to this area, so let's just not let you go back.
Interesting.
So
okay, I mean, I guess maybe that's why they don't have a, like, completion percentage for that area, right? Because that would be frustrating.
There's, like, things in the world that you can come across to find and interact. Like, they're not collectibles as such, but they're collectibles, right? So that part really broke my brain. It was slightly frustrating. But I will say, like, I think the idea of playing music to tame animals was, like, a very cool idea, and I think that was well implemented, where, like, the songs and the way you did that with the creatures of the world felt really good and really clever. And I kind of just wish that there was, you know what this game feels like to me? It feels like they had a really good idea. They wanted to make a game much bigger than their budget allowed, and so they had to copy and paste a few things where I'm sure they had more different ideas, but making games is really expensive. That's what this game feels like to me. And I wish they had more money to make the game they probably had in their heads.
Fair enough.
But that's what I've been up to. Al, what have you been up to?
Well, so while I'm away for my month in the summer, I don't have a huge amount of time for games, but what I did manage to play was Chicken Journey. I don't know if you remember this game, Jonnie.
I don't.
It's not cottagecore. We talked about it on the podcast once because chicken. But basically it's an side-scrolling RPG where you play as a chicken with some mild platforming to it. It's not particularly challenging, right? Like, don't go into it expecting platforming challenges. That's not what there is. It's more kind of puzzly in that you kind of have to figure out how to get through an area, which involves some platforming and involves, you know, switches and stuff like that, and making sure you do things in the right order and finding your way out of very simple mazes. It's fun, I think. It's not a hugely long game, so I finished it in, I think, 10 hours. Which, I mean, for me is a good length of a game just now. But, it's not particularly long. And I basically have 100%ed it. There's one Steve achievement I don't have. And that's just because I need to go to, like, 2 different areas and go in the what they call the temples that I went into and get to the highest level again, because I missed one thing in each of them. And I'm like, oh, can I really be bothered with that? It's not like I'm doing something challenging that I've not done before. It's just doing the same thing again and not missing one thing. We'll see. But
I mean, you will do it. Like, it's not a we'll see. We know you will do it. Like,
I don't know, maybe I'll forget about it and it won't not niggle at my brain the entire time I'm playing a different game.
It's already niggling at your brain now. We all know how this is. we could pretend we don't if you want to do that. Like, that's fine.
Yeah, so I think the problem is, right, like, I very rarely 100% games. So I think I'm trying to remember if there was a game I 100%ed before or not, but like I 100%ed the newest Kirby game, the 3D one. That was the first game like I properly 100%ed, because I got to the end of the story and I'd done enough that I was at like 80%, and I went, oh, 20%. Yeah, I can do 20%. The problem is when a game you're like finished the story and it's like, oh, you're 40% through all of the achievements, and I'm like, I'm not doing that again 2 more times or a time and a half more. Like that's not fun. Right?
Yeah. Have you ever 106%ed a game?
Oh, please don't start this conversation with me. I will.
I just say these things to needle you out. That's it.
Goodness me. Right. Okay. So if you have, and like you're gonna disagree with me whether you agree with me or not, Jonnie. I know this because you will either disagree with me or you'll agree with me, but you'll find it more fun to disagree with me. But if you add stuff to your game that takes the completion to more than 100%, add a second percentage. Do not just add on to the... Because the whole point of 100% is to say you've done everything, right? And if I've done everything, and like say you play, like let's take Hollow Knight, right? That's a good example. I think that's like 117% or something now. I can't remember exactly, but there's some annoying percent. And it's just... It might even be a decimal. I honestly think it might be a decimal, but I can't remember. How do you know when you're done, right? This is the problem, is that the whole point of having a percentage counter is when you get to 100%, you've done everything. Now, if you add more things, and you either decrease the percentage for everybody, so you say, oh, you were on 100%, now you're not on 100%, right? That's one option. Or you add a second one and say, this is for the new content that's been added. The idea that you would come in and because it's all very well and good if you played it at the beginning and then you played the second update and you played the third update, but me coming to it after all the updates and I hadn't played it before any of the updates, literally I have to Google what the correct percentage number is to know when I've done everything. That's weird and confusing and not fun.
Yeah, but like Hollow Knight's a bad game, so it's natural to have bad design.
Oh, funny.
I just try to get you some hate mail here, Al.
Well, I mean, I don't really care about that one.
But going back to chicken journey, whatever.
Chicken Journey.
I feel like you're so close, right? Like, because I'm kind of with you that I don't really care about 100% in games unless I'm close to 100%ing it, and then it's kind of like, well, I might as well.
Yes, you are correct. That's the real thing. That's it. There's no other reason why I would do it. It's because there's one achievement left, and I've got. I actually think I have 2 of the 3 things. I'm just not sure which of the 2 I haven't. Which of the 3 I haven't done. I know which one I've definitely done, and I know there are 2 others, one of which I've done, one of which I've not. So it's possible I go find the one that I've not found and I find it and I don't have to do the second one and that's me done. So it might only be one thing I've got left to do.
Yeah, you're definitely going to do this. It just makes sense. Of course I'm going to do it, but not just now, because I've picked up another game. A game that Jonnie is jealous that I have access to now, and that is Mika and the Witch's Mountain. I'm so jealous.
I mean, you could have kickstarted it. I kickstarted it. Kickstarters got the code a week before release, so I have been playing that. I'm not going to give away too much just now, but I will say that I am having fun.
It's a very ominous way of saying you're having fun.
It's okay. I'll say one other thing. The controls were not what I expected with flying, but
in a good way or a bad way?
In a initially bad way. But then I understand why they are doing what they're doing, and it leads to more things to progress in the game.
Interesting. I feel like my interpretation of what you just said is that flying has a limited time, and you can add to that capacity over time.
Yeah,
which would make sense.
I mean, not quite, but kind of. Yeah, it's one of these things where I was expecting, and I don't know why I was expecting this, but I was expecting that the flying is just like you get on your broom and you can fly wherever, you can go up and down, but it's not that. And so because my brain was in that mode, I was expecting the controls to be specific things, but it's not that, and therefore my brain had to get used to the fact that the controls are different.
Interesting. I don't think I had that expectation going in from a lot of the videos.
And that's fair. Yeah, no, that's fair. That's probably just a me thing. But anyway, well, I'll talk more about it in a future episode, maybe.
And
we'll see.
By the time this episode's out, I believe the game is out.
Yes, yeah, it comes out on Wednesday, the 21st.
So I hope everyone
Jonnie will be playing it while this
100%.
episode's out.
Yes.
I mean, I look, I think you'll enjoy it, Jonnie. I really hope you enjoy it. I don't think it's not a bad game. It's a good game. It just took my brain a bit to get used to it, but I think now I'm used to it. I'm very much enjoying it, and I will say more in the future. Woo!
Woo.
That's what we've been up to. Okay, so as I have done in some previous episodes where we have just an insane amount of news, I have chunked it into different sections. So this is going to be the game releases section. So that's games that either have released, just about to release, or haven't released yet, but is news about their release. It'll make sense when we get to the next section. So first of all, we have 4 games that are out now, or given us the release. No, 5. Right, 3 games. Why am I doing this? Right, let's just go these one by one. I was trying to make it go quicker. It's going to be confusing. Critter Crops out now. Anything to say on that?
I really like there's something about Critter Crops that when I first watch a video or see something of it, I'm like, does this look good? And then the more I watch it, the more I'm like, I actually think I am very into this art style. It just takes a bit to get into, and I don't know. I like the idea of growing critters. What can I say? This game looks kind of cute and silly, and
you are a sucker for creature collectors. Let's be honest.
Yeah, I am, 100%. And the only other thing to say is that it's 10% off. Oh no, that was till the end of July. Don't worry, I can't read. Why is that still on your Steam page? We're in August. Oh my god. Okay, anyway. Critter Crops is out. It looks great.
This is how long it's been, Jonnie. This game came out, I think, 2 days after our last episode or something. 22nd of July. Yeah, nearly a month ago this came out.
Yeah. But looks cute. Very excited.
Oh, it's even better. I think it came out one day after the last episode was recorded, not released. Amazing. Fine, whatever. Yeah, I agree with the art style. It's the sort of thing where you first see it, you're like, oh, and then you go, no, this is a very deliberate and interesting art style. Because initially you just think, oh, it doesn't look very good, but then you realize it's different, and I like it.
Yeah, I think that's exactly it, right? It's not. I think you at an initial glance you could look at it and think, yeah, like you said, it's not a good art style. I actually think it is an intentional art style, and they're just trying something that a lot of games are afraid to try.
I agree. And it's not pixel art, so.
Yes.
Not that I'm saying that pixel art's bad, but I like when not everything is the same. Speaking of pixel art, Girdlets announced a release date, and it's now in the past. So, so Girdlets is now out. You wrote idle mode, ! Yeah,
Girdlets has idle mode. So like Rusty's retirement, you can have your Girdlets little island be just like a little banner on the bottom of your screen while you're doing other stuff, which is amazing. Girdlets, for those who don't remember, is like the chill city builder, where you're building a city for vegetables to come and live, and it looks super cute. There's no real goals, but what they do say in their release trailer is that when Girdlets come to your island, they kind of come with a leaf, and by interacting in the world, that kind of makes them happy, and the more Girdlets you make happy unlocks more stuff for you to build. So there is a little bit of a gameplay loop that they have built into it, which seems amazing. The idea of it having the little idle mode option is kind of cool. I'm very excited to try this out as a little idle game.
And it is $5. Go buy it.
Yes.
I'm not, with this game, I'm not even, it is on sale just now for, is it minus 20% off? Which is just wild. But yeah, I'm not waiting for I'm going to wait till it's 90%. No, go buy it now, right? Unless you have real financial issues, it's a $5. Go buy it.
Pretty much. That's what I'll be doing after the show.
I'm doing it right now. Right, what is next? We have Song of the Prairie. Their 1.0 will be out by the time this episode comes out, but I think it's... Oh, no, it's out now. It is out now. This was August 1st. It's out now. Woo!
I don't have much to say about Song of the Prairie, other than it looks like someone thought, what if Harvest Moon was kind of good? And then they made this game.
I think many people had that thought process.
Yeah, this looks very like Harvest Moony, though. I don't know why. There was something more about this one that kind of linked me to a Harvest Moon than other games.
Fair. Yeah, I like the look of this game. There's nothing about it that makes me go, I must play this, though, I think is the thing. Like, if this came out maybe 4 years ago, I would probably be right on it. But I'm like, okay, that's fine.
I agree. It seems like it's reviewing pretty well on Steam, though, so that's
good. All reviews is very positive. Nearly 80% SteamDB rating. Garden Witch Life have announced that they're releasing on the 12th of September. And I believe that's not early access. That's just straight into a full release.
Yeah. This is like the word salad game of like, we took the words gardening and witch and we put them together, and I've said many times on the show that we don't need any more witchy gardening games, and unfortunately that is how I feel about this game. There is just nothing about this one stands out to me.
I hate the name. It's a terrible name. Get a better name. I think I'm probably similar. I like the look of it. I feel like a broken record right now, but I like the look of it. But yeah, nothing is telling me I must have it right now.
Yeah.
Real Fishing Days of Summer have announced that their release date is the 28th of October, and that will be on Switch and PS5. I mean, I'm not going to buy a Real Fishing game. I'm sorry.
Me either. Boo to fishing.
I'm not against fishing in general. I mean, I do. We have this conversation time and time again. We've got another game to talk about later that's adding fishing when it really doesn't feel like it needs to. But it just, like, what I definitely don't want is realistic fishing. That just feels like the worst. So, yeah. No, please, no. Thank you. Please and thank you.
I agree.
Harvest Moon Home Sweet Home, speaking of Natsume and No Please No, have announced that their game is coming out on Friday, 2 days after this episode comes out, the 23rd of August, the day before my birthday. They say that they've released a gameplay trailer, but it's kind of hard to see what the gameplay is because all they do in this is have people talking to people and running around. Like, they're not really showing a huge amount of things. There's some cutscenes and stuff like that. I feel like we have different definitions of gameplay trailer, but
yeah,
I mean, it looks pretty standard Harvest Moon game, and I don't really want that on a mobile device. We'll see what happens.
Yep, I felt exactly the same way. I watched the trailer and I thought that sure looks like some Harvest Moon gameplay, but it did not tell me what the gameplay loop of this was at all. So it feels like they're basically saying if you like the idea of Harvest Moon and you want that on your phone, then this is the game for you. And if you don't know what any of those words mean, then you can probably give this one a miss.
Yeah, probably. I don't like to promise things very often, but we're going to cover this game because I think this is the sort of game that it's possible this could be good. I don't think it's going to be good, but it's possible it could be good. But don't buy this game yet. Wait. We'll play it. We'll tell you what it's like.
It makes sense for us to cover because the cottagecore game on mobile, like that. I think we would all love a really good version of that, and I don't know that there's been one yet. So the hunt continues for something that sort of fills that niche in a way that is very satisfying.
Yeah, the problem is that what most of them are is just the same game, but on mobile, and that doesn't... I mean, it's like, Stardew did it fine, but the problem is it's still the same game, just different controls for it. And
generally worse controls, right?
Yeah, exactly. And so the problem is you need to rethink what a game should be for mobile. And Stardew wasn't trying to do that. Stardew was just, oh, people want my game on mobile. That's fine. Let's do that and see how people would interact with it. And that's fine. That's, he wasn't trying to reinvent the wheel for that. But if someone wants to make a good game, a good farming game for mobile, they need to think about the entire thing from scratch. And this just looks like it is Harvest Moon: The Winds of Anthos with a different story and on a smaller screen.
I agree. Yeah. We've talked a lot more about this game than I thought we would.
Yeah. We'll see what happens. Natsumon 20th Century Summer Kid, which, fun fact, they changed the name on the Steam page when they added so they've added the English translation to this game on Steam and on Switch. So that's the news. But the funny thing I found is, I'm pretty sure on Steam it used to be called Natsumon 20th Century Summer Vacation, because that's the literal translation from Japanese. But then apparently when they've localized it, they've changed the name, which is fine. It's just weird that they added the name initially as a different translated version and then decided that that wasn't what they were going with for the name.
I mean, the name still makes sense, I guess. So
yeah, no, I'm not saying that's a bad thing. It's weird that they had a name in English and changed what that was.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't get over the fact that this game is like $1 million. It's so expensive.
I closed my browser. Yeah, it's not cheap.
And it looks so bad for like... And I get that that's kind of like the style, but like... Paying what? This game must be like $50 American or something like that. And it's just like... You could buy pretty much every other game that we've talked about and still not have paid as much as you would pay for this game. I just don't...
Yeah.
Who's buying this?
Me, apparently.
Well, Al, you have a problem.
Well, yes, we know that. We know that. Thankfully, my money is finite, so I can't buy literally everything. Speaking of buying literally everything, Usagi-shima is coming to Steam. Now, interestingly, so this was free on mobile, and it had ads, and you could pay to get rid of the ads, but it was like £5 or something, so of course I did that. Oh no, did it have ads? I don't think it did have ads. It was just like an in-game purchase to get a bunch of...
I think you could just cosmetics. Pay to buy the... Like, it was just a, hey, do you want to support me? Then you can do
which
this.
Was a no-brainer for this game. So it'll be interesting to see whether that will be the same for Steam or not. I don't see any information about how much it will be yet. But the Steam page is up. It looks like it's going to be on Windows and Mac. So, yeah. It's a fun game. I mean, if you've listened to us talk about Usagi-shima before, it's exactly what you're expecting, and it's the exact same game. It's just going to Steam.
Which is awesome. I think that makes total sense. And, like I would say, if it's $10 or less, it's kind of just an instant buy. If it does have a purchase price.
Yep.
Which I think would not be a bad thing, right? To just say like, hey, give us $5 for this game.
It's different, right? Steam is different from mobile, and I think you can get away with charging money on Steam where you wouldn't be able to on mobile, because I think the thing is that if you go free on mobile with an option to give money, you're much more likely to get more people doing it, and therefore people will go, oh, I like this game, fine, I'll put the money in. Whereas if you don't try it first, you might not be willing to pay for it up front. Whereas on Steam, especially with the game now being popular and people know it and people like it, they'll be like, oh, finally it's coming to Steam. I'm excited about that. Yes, I will buy that.
Absolutely.
The smallest piece of news is the Echoes of the Plum Grove is now on Mac.
Cody, go play it.
I still haven't played this game. I really need to play this game because I love everything that it's doing in terms of like death.
Yeah, I can't remember. Someone in the Slack, it might have been Kat, was playing it, and they were saying they were having a really fun time with it. And this game weirds me out every time I kind of remember that it exists, because everything they're doing around death seems super cool and super interesting. and not what you expect when you first see like the now available on Mac like picture is like very cute, and you can imagine someone being like, oh, what's this, and looking into it and being like, oh my god.
That's the thing that's most fun about it, is the art style is so cutesy, but you die in this game, and it's hard not to die. Like it's proper survival. Like you die and then you play as someone else.
As your children, I'm pretty sure it's like a generation.
Yeah. I guess the question is, I don't know what happens if you don't have kids. Is that game over, or do you play as someone else in the village? I don't know.
I don't actually know. I'm just making that up.
Anyway, yeah, that was meant to be the shortest piece of news. Outbound, cozy camper van exploration crafting game. That's apparently what they're listed as on Kickstarter. Don't know why. Their Kickstarter's live now, and they have well and truly hit their goal.
Yes. Look, this is... I know you said I could have backed the Mika and the Witch's Mountain Kickstarter, but like, how long ago did you have to back that one? Because like their date for, beta access is end of 2025, which makes total sense. Like, I'm not saying like that's too long or anything like that. Making games takes a long time, but like they've met the Kickstarter thing. Like, don't bother. Just wait for it to come out.
So I'll tell you why. I kickstart games. I kickstart games because it's like a little present to future me. I buy a game, and then 2-3 years later, I get a free game. It's great.
One, it's not free, Al, and I know that you know this, and now you're just saying that...
I haven't paid for it at that point in time.
You have paid for it, though. That is, in fact, how that has worked, and you might not even get the game. I would be pretty confident that this one is, in fact, going to come out, because everything that they've shown looks very good, which, there's some tricky vertical slice stuff that people can do in trailers and stuff, but I would be shocked if this is a game that doesn't see the light of day, because it looks pretty good.
Well, and it's the same developer that did Above Snakes, so they've proven that they can do a Kickstarter for a game and then release a game.
Interesting. I don't think I knew that was the same developer, but
yeah, very different vibe.
Yeah, 100%.
Which is always good when you've got get you a developer who can do both, right? Like, very, very different. And I like that about... This is what I really love about indie game development, right? Is when they go, I've got a weird idea that I want to do for a game, and they do it. And then they're like, and I've got this completely different idea for a completely different style of game. And then they do it. And if you're successful at the first one, you will probably be successful at the second one because people like your first game. Like, this game funded in 2 hours.
Yeah. I mean, that's not a surprise. Like, I think everything that this game is doing is just really tapping into something that people are feeling right now.
Yes, this is the game that is, for some reason, adding fishing. I don't know why. They're adding it as a stretch goal. Away with your fishing. Don't make me fish.
That's a good reason to not back the Kickstarter.
Yeah, I'm like, please stop. We've now... well, the problem is, right, they've got fishing as the next one and then beekeeping after that. And I'm like, can we do the beekeeping and without the fishing? But
100%. Yeah. I think what I'm most curious with this game is, like, what is the actual game?
Driving around and building your insane house on top of your camper van.
Right, but like, so in a lot of, the games that we cover, the gameplay loop is very driven around, you've got your plot of land, and yes, you are using that to produce money or resources or other stuff that then enables all of those upgrades.
I see what your point. I think the point is exploration. And so you are going from point A to point B via a million other points, and everything you do is with the goal of getting there, I think.
Right. That makes sense.
It's not particularly clear, which is fine because maybe they're not 100% sure how it's going to pan out. And they've very much been working on the core concept of the game. We'll see. I've backed it, of course.
Yeah, look, I thought about it, and then I'm like, if I'm backing it, it would be to play the alpha, and then I'm like, why would I want to play an alpha? I'll just wait for it to come out.
Fair enough. Look, we know I have a problem with Kickstarters. Speaking of having a problem with Kickstarters, we're now going on to the game updates section, which is about updates to games that are already out. The first one is Coral Island. The 1.1 is out now. I think this came out like just after the last episode came out. Yeah, the 23rd of July. I think that is the day of it's the day before the last episode where we had news came out.
Yeah.
But we'd recorded like 2 days before that or something. So thanks Coral Island.
And for those who don't remember, this is 1.1 in brackets. Actually, it's 1.0, and we're now actually finished the game.
Well, yeah. Yes, they're literally calling it Finale Land and Sea Update. Like, they're literally calling it the finale, right? Like, this is what the game was meant to be. They're adding in stuff that didn't exist in the first game that should have. Like your town rank system. They finally added the top rank of it. They've added people in the sea that you can actually talk to.
When one of the headings in the 1.1 update is storyline completion, we released a game and the storyline was incomplete.
Yes. Well,
but look, we'll stop poking fun because I feel like this game has had some challenges in the background, but there is a lot I think to be excited about for 1.1 update.
Yes,
yes, it is finishing the game, but there is, I feel like they've also listened to a lot of feedback. I'm just scrolling through all of the patch notes because one of my favorite sort of spouse interactions. For those that don't recall, I think when you get married in Coral Island, your partner becomes a soulless husk that stands in the house and does nothing. And they have a bullet point that says you can now hug and kiss your spouse once daily to get some point in the relationship.
Once daily.
And I think it's meant to read to get some points in the relationship. So you could I think the implication is meant to be to build that you can continue to build the relationship, but to get some point in the relationship makes it feel like so the marriage is not entirely pointless.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah. This is definitely a translation issue because they're I think they're from the Philippines, the developers.
I believe that's correct.
So yeah, let's not be too harsh on the English, but yes, it does feel a little bit perfect.
That one was that one was accidentally perfect. And when I was reading through, because it was about halfway through all of the updates, it gave me a good chuckle.
I like having some point in a relationship. But now we get to talk about their problems, and that is that Coral Island was being published by Humble Games, and if you've not heard this already, Humble Games no longer humbles or games. It basically no longer exists as a thing. Humble Bundle still exists because Humble Games was separate. It's like there's the Humble company and then there's Humble Bundle, and Humble Games were separate. And Humble Games with the publishing arm, and they've basically they fired everybody, and they're done. They've switched off, gone. There is nobody that works for Humble Games anymore. Like they've not even left one person in there to deal with emails. The entire company doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah,
which is a problem for some things, including the fact that Humble Games were the other thing they do as well as publishing is they did porting, so they were working on the Switch port for Coral Island. No more. Shall I just use their own words?
Yeah.
First of all, oh my word. I need to say that apparently they found out about this was on the same way everybody else found out about it. Nobody contacted them to say that this was happening. We'd like to say something to you today, given that Humble Games' recent restructuring, the most amazing word you can use for firing everybody, leaves consoles in a place of uncertainty. However, we see this as an opportunity to share what we can. To start, we share in your frustrations regarding the lack of a Nintendo Switch port of Coral Island. Over the years, there's a lot we've wanted to say in the spirit of transparency about many different things, but continue to be unable to do so because of the publishing agreement and NDA we have in place. The impact of Humble Games' restructuring on Coral Island remains uncertain for all things related to consoles, whether porting or pushing hotfixes. I believe that they already have a port on Xbox and PlayStation. It was just Switch that was missing. So that's why they're talking about updates. As they are responsible for these platforms, we've been in communication with our lawyer since we found out about the restructuring on social media to figure out how to navigate this new situation. For example, we have an upcoming hotfix for the 1.1 update nearing release for Steam. We have no idea how to get this update out to other platform players, as we don't have a backend permission on console platforms to push updates out. We only have access to the Steam backend. Because of this, the only thing we can do for Switch backers, effective immediately, is offer a key exchange to the Steam platform. We will offer key changes for as long as we are able to. Please email for a key change. Blah. Oh, and then they go, we will... I missed this last paragraph. We'll keep you posted on developments once we have more information. We know it effing sucks, but we hope you understand. And they didn't say effing, but this is still a family-friendly podcast. There's a lot of subtext and a lot of text in that update.
It certainly is. It's just a tough situation for them to be in, right? Like, it seems like there is very little they can actually do about it, and they're doing the best they can. Yeah.
It also sounds like they're struggling to keep up with the key exchange. There's lots of people complaining in the comments that they haven't had their key exchange. I am very glad that I exchanged my key 2 years ago when I got my Steam Deck, and I was like, I'm just going to get this on Steam if I can, and they let me do it. So I'm glad I did all the way back then. I find it very interesting that they are very clearly saying that they have not been allowed to say stuff because of NDAs, but they're saying they're not allowed to say stuff because of NDAs, possibly because they're like, well, who's going to sue us? Nobody exists in the company anymore. I don't know. But
yeah, it's look, I feel like the NDAs thing is normal, and it feels like we're just seeing the frustration over the last few years sort of leaking out a little bit in this statement, which seems totally understandable, because publishing games is hard, and publishing to multiple platforms is hard, and sometimes you get in situations where, you know, the developers are not the ones with the power in these relationships, and I think this is unfortunately what has happened to Coral Island.
Yep. And this is the thing. This is the thing you need to remember about Kickstarters. You are paying money for a promise of something. That is not a legally binding contract. You are funding this, and there is a chance that you get nothing out of it. So bear that in mind. Don't be like me. Don't kickstart everything. I think I've only had 2 things that I just haven't got from Kickstarters. But it's not fun when it happens. And there are a lot of disappointed people in the comments, because it's all very well saying we'll give you a key exchange, but if the Switch is your only games machine, then there's nothing you can do there.
Yeah. And I mean, it's even hard, right? Like, I don't know, they said they've got a hotfix coming for 1.1 for Steam, obviously. But if you're a PlayStation or an Xbox player, like, what does this hotfix fix? You know, and the fact that, you know, there are potentially some significant bugs or glitches in those console versions that there's no real idea of when or if they will even get this hotfix.
Yep. Well, yeah, I guess we'll just have to see what happens. Next, we have the 1.2 update for Roots of Pacha is out now. This is the one, I think we talked about this a few months ago. This is the one that adds child labour.
Hell yeah. Finally, children will be useful for something.
I mean, isn't that why we have children? Not for child labour, but for adult labour in 18 years' time, right?
I don't know. I feel like that's inefficient. Get them started young.
We also have the Sunhaven. I mean, you played Roots of Pacha? I can't remember.
I have played a little bit of Roots of Pacha. I liked what it was trying to do, but equally, I was playing Roots of Pacha at the same time I was getting into Coral Island, and Coral Island won out in that battle.
Fair enough. I think we've talked about this update before, so there's probably not a huge amount to say other than get your children.
Yeah, working. It just feels like they're sort of in the cycle of adding stuff to the game, where I feel like if you were enjoying Roots of Pacha, or maybe you enjoyed it and bounced off and wanted to, you know, we're waiting for a little bit more to come back and play it, this is the sort of update that could pull you back in. But if you haven't played it or you haven't been interested in Roots of Pacha, I didn't see anything significant that's like, now is the time to really jump in and play.
It very much feels like a Stardew update, where it's like, none of this felt like it needed to be in the game. Like you didn't, if this stuff didn't exist in the game, you wouldn't be like, oh, that's weird. Why isn't this here? But everything that added feels on brand and feels good from what I can see.
Yeah, I agree.
We also have a Sunhaven update. I'm not going to call it patch. You can't make me. 1.5 called Teleportation. I bet you can guess what this brings to the game.
I'm going to say mind reading.
It's teleportation.
What? No way.
This is another game that hasn't... I'm pretty sure they've not released their Switch version yet. And this has been quite a while. Because I think they'd said that they were planning on getting it out for the time they got the 1.0 update. And now we're on 1.5.
Yeah. I don't know. Sunhaven is really interesting to me, right? Because it feels like they are just consistently churning out content. And you're right. The Switch port is still listed under their features in development. But they have churned out so much content. I feel like every episode they've got, not necessarily a 1.x update, but they have consistent, like furniture, DLC updates. So I guess it makes me curious, like, just on their team balance. Because they can keep churning out all of these different furniture items. But yeah, you're right. That Switch port is a long time coming. Speaking
of furniture updates, nice. Moonstone Island have another update and DLC. Their DLCs are typically just adding cosmetics and furniture and stuff like that, and that is the same here. They've got their Chef's Kiss DLC, which adds kind of related to cooking things. There's a donut ring. I don't know what the donut ring has to do with cooking other than it's a donut, but like that's the thing you sit in, right?
Yes.
And then there's a bunch of stuff for a kitchen. Fine. But that goes along with the update, which is the cooking update. So this is why they've got the Chef's Kiss DLC, because they've now added cooking to the game.
How do you feel about what was cooking missing from Boons? I feel like cooking is a weird thing to add post-release because I'm curious about what it adds to the game.
Yeah, so I guess technically it was missing in that it wasn't there, but I wasn't going, oh, you know what, this game would really, really be great if they added cooking. I wasn't really thinking that. So, yeah, I don't know. It's not like I must now continue playing this game. I don't know. Maybe some people would like it. I was trying to check if I had backed Sunhaven on Kickstarter. I did. I backed them on Kickstarter. I think I originally backed them for Switch and then got it changed to Steam when I got my Steam Deck. But
so I feel like the lesson we're learning here is if you're backing a game on Kickstarter, like, make sure you can at least play it on Steam, because if it's going to come out anywhere, that's probably the place it will come out.
Absolutely, yeah. I think especially at this point in the Switch's life cycle.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
I'm trying to see when the last time they talked about Steam, the Switch, was. The comments on the Kickstarter are all about Switch, but yeah, I'm not seeing. So they had the 1.5 update, didn't mention it. 1.4 update says that it's still coming. Oh no, this is really bad. They actually said in the 1.4 update, which came out in June, they said, patch 1.4 is the final patch filled with major features that will be released before the Nintendo Switch port releases. This means that no major content will be added to Sunhaven after 1.5 until Sunhaven is released on the Switch. Awkward.
That sounds positive.
Yeah, but they've just released 1.5.
I thought you said after 1.5.
No, 1.4.
Oh.
We'll just have to keep seeing what happens. All right, now we're into the Disney Dreamlight Valley section because there's just so much for them. They've released a new roadmap because we were pretty much at the end of their existing roadmap. So we have three more updates coming this year. I think, has the August one come out now, or have they just... no, it's coming out on the 21st, which is when this episode comes out. So the August update will be out when you hear this. Then they've got one coming out in October, which is Lion King stuff. Got Timon and Pumbaa. And then late 2024, there's another one, which I'm going to need some Disney people to figure out what's happening in this image, because it's an image with someone without a face. They've got red hair, but it's not like Merida's red hair. It's like straight red hair. And then there's clothes that are patched from different things, sewn together, different patterns and colors.
Yeah, I'm very confused as to what this is.
Someone will know exactly what this is, because someone always does. It's like when there was the boat and I was like, what is that? And they were like, oh, that's Daffy's boat. And I'm like, okay. Didn't realize Daffy.
Yeah, we just need who's our resident Disney freak? We need them.
And the Reddit will say there's a Disney Dreamlight Valley Reddit, right? Oh yeah, I didn't mention. So the August update is, I can never remember her name. Is that the Princess and the Frog? Is that Tiana?
Tiana.
Yeah. Oh, it actually says on the image. I could have just read the image. Yeah, so that's
I did it.
Springing Tiana. Well, at least I'm proving that I know some stuff. And that update is called Dapper Delights. We don't have full information on that just now. But yeah, we've got Tiana coming, and then some clothes that are dapper, I guess. Including, is that creature is like a little lizard or something? Is that like a thing that exists in something? I have no idea what that is. Definitely looks very dapper in his little hat and shirt.
No, I don't think so. I think it's just crocodiles are one of the animals. I think it's just one of the pets that can follow you around.
Okay. And
you can presumably dress them up now. That's probably been in the game for ages, but...
Yeah, it's been a while since I've played this game. So yeah, Tiana's coming. Tiana's Palace is coming. There's a new food stall, a new Star Path outfits, a search bar, and more filters. So there's obviously too much stuff in the game now. And along with that update, they're releasing the third part of the DLC. And then they hint at more DLC coming later in the year. Now, the question is, my big question, is this going to be the same DLC, another part of the same DLC, or is it going to be a different DLC that you have to pay for?
My sense is it's a new DLC that you have to pay for. Because of the whole vibe of we've finished the roadmap and here is the new roadmap. To me, it feels like we're at the end. It would make sense that they're at the end of that tranche of paid content and they are wanting to sell you some more paid content.
I suspect so as well, especially as in the description for the third part of the DLC it says foil Jafar's schemes and fix the rift in time, which, considered the expansion is called A Rift in Time, makes it sound like that's the end of A Rift in Time.
Yes, I would expect so.
Also, they are adding crossplay with PlayStation, which is big. Very rarely do you get crossplay with PlayStation games. Sony are not a fan of that.
Yeah, turns out you need to be the size of Disney in order to make that happen. Who would have thought?
Fortnite also has it. I'm sure there's some other games as well, but yeah, it's not uncommon for it to be crossplay across everything except PlayStation.
Yeah.
And they also say they've got more multiplayer features coming next year, which I'm intrigued by. Let's see.
I mean, it's going to be better than the nothing that they have now. Oh, no, sorry, you can technically go and run around the world together, which, I mean, it counts as multiplayer.
I guess the question is, what would you be looking for in multiplayer in this game?
I don't know, right? And this is a problem that I kind of put back to Animal Crossing, where it's like, yes, you can go and visit each other's island, and it's like, cool, and then what do we do? You go and visit each other's island. It's like, great. But I want to do something. So I don't know what the answer to that is. I just, to me, multiplayer needs to have some play to it, some game. I don't know exactly what I want that to be, but I would like for the people that make these games to think about that.
Yeah, sure. I don't disagree. I guess I'm more just I don't feel the need for there to be multiplayer in this game, and maybe that's just me, but...
No, I agree. I don't think this game needs multiplayer, so that's why I'm like, well, if you continue to invest in it, surely there's got to be some idea.
Yeah,
otherwise, just let people visit each other's towns and be like, wow, you put that building there and I put it somewhere else. Fun.
I should have looked at the Reddit as soon as they announced it, because trying to find, there's so many posts on this subreddit.
The other thing they talk about, because it's been 2 years now that Disney Dreamlight Valley has been out, in whatever that means, and they talk about some hints of stuff that's coming in the future, beyond content. So what they say, we're also focused on listening to your hopes and dreams about existing features and how they can be improved. And I was like, oh, this is exciting, because like I like a lot about Disney Dreamlight Valley, but there's a lot about how the like living in the valley, you know, the sort of life sim, designing the town aspects, you know, work that I was just not a fan of. It was the very weakest point of that game, and I was like, this all sounds exciting. And then they say, from decorating and organizing your wardrobe and furniture to improving photo mode. And I was like, oh, okay. So that's just like tweaking around the edges. So it's good that they're constantly improving that stuff. I just wish that they were, I don't know, working on how to design the valley, because I don't know how people are doing it with these valleys. Well, there is a line in there where they go, we've also heard your valleys are getting a little crowded. We're working on new free features that will help give you much more space and freedom to decorate, which is kind of what I wanted. But the fact that that is like right at the bottom of this section does not make me feel confident about what they're working on there.
Yeah, that doesn't scream to me this year.
No. And it also doesn't scream to me like this will be a satisfying solution. It sounds like, hey, here's maybe a graveyard for all of the characters who you don't like to throw their houses in. Which, to be fair, that's what I was using the Sunlit Plateau for.
So I finally found the post on Reddit. Someone says something about someone called Sally. I don't know who that is. Oh, from what's it called? Nightmare Before Christmas. The one that's like sewn up.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. And that's for late 2024. Why is that not the October 2024? Because that feels like a Halloween update. If it's
Nightmare Before Christmas, Al.
Oh.
Very important word in that sentence.
I have nothing to say. So that's what that one is. Something to do with Sally. Because it does look like, because in the film, she's in like boring clothing, but it does look like in other things she has been in the clothing has been very colourful, and it looks very much like almost identical to that one in that image.
Yeah,
so
no, it's absolutely that.
Thank you, random Redditors, for having the memory that I could never have. All right. That's probably enough about Disney Dreamlight Valley.
I think so.
And our next update, our last update that's actually out, is Cult of the Lamb have released the Unholy Alliance update. And the big feature of this is it adds local co-op to the game.
Hell yeah. This looks amazing. When I first saw that this was adding local co-op to Cult of the Lamb, I was like, that doesn't seem that good or that fun. And it seems really good and really fun, and when they sort of show all of the ways that they've implemented co-op multiplayer, like this makes sense for a game that I would have a friend around and we could just play and have a good silly time doing good silly things and then put it down and not be invested, because this is not about the story, this is about you and a friend doing weird cult stuff together in a fun silly game. Like, this makes total sense. I mean, this is a really clever little addition to this game.
Yeah, I do think that these guys are very much doing things because they think they're fun rather than doing them because they think they should. And
yes.
They didn't add local co-op because you should add local co-op. They added local co-op because they had a good idea for it.
Yeah, like you can just imagine that they were, sitting together working on the game and one person was playing it and someone was sitting next to them, and then they thought, what if we just did this but twice? Right? And then they're like, okay, let's go build that. And I really like local co-op for like the way that they are doing co-op. Like, I don't think this would work if it was online. I think this is the sort of co-op that really works best in person.
I think I saw somewhere where they basically said, please no, we're not doing online. You'll make our developers cry. Somewhere as well. So I don't think you're getting that.
And I don't think it makes sense, right? Like, it's just, I don't know. To me, and maybe this is because I'm old now, that there's something very... there's something that I like about co-op when it's just, sitting on the couch next to someone else playing a game that is distinct from playing a game online with someone else.
Back in my day, you could only play co-op together. You had to meet the people you were gaming with.
My parents had to ask their parents if they could sleep over, and
my experience with playing games with people when I was a kid was not fun. So I don't have any nostalgia for that. But no, I agree. This looks fun. I don't know if I'll ever actually get back to this game, but I enjoyed what I played, and I could see how this would definitely add some fun to it. I would need to have someone else who would want to play this game who lives near me as well. My wife is never playing this game.
I mean, that's fair. This is definitely not a for everybody sort of game.
So there's that, and they've added a whole bunch of other things. Like they've added new traits. There's a new quest line, which, by the way, one of the traits is polyamory. They've added some new items, new relics, blah blah blah. There's a new mode, some Twitch integration stuff that I don't care about, and a new DLC, which I think is all cosmetic. Oh, there's one quest line in it, but other than that, it's all cosmetic stuff. And also new merch. They're selling plushies now. Sorry for letting you know that. Oof, they are not cheap. All right, that's Cult of the Lamb. So next we have some roadmaps for some games. I know we've already talked about the Disney Dreamlight Valley roadmap, but there was also an update that was out now, so Mika and the Witch's Mountain have released their early access roadmap, and I'm a little bit confused because I didn't think this game was early access, and having played it, I don't know why it's early access, but apparently it's early access. They say that they've got 2 content patches coming out in October and December, and these are including new missions, collectibles, etc., and then bug fixes, languages, and community feedback implementation, which is a long way of saying we're shutting you up by doing some stuff. I'm very confused as to why this is early access rather than just we're going to add more stuff to the game.
Gonna say, just don't think about it too hard.
I know
the game is out and more content is coming. Let's just not label it. It's out.
But it's my job to overthink it.
Okay. Then you overthink it for the rest of us, and we'll just all enjoy the game.
They said a little bit more in their Kickstarter update. Let me just double check what it was they said. They said the game is listed on early access as early access on Steam, and we understand that may lead to confusion. Yes, it has. I'm confused. The game is currently playable from start to finish with all missions and characters on both Steam and Nintendo Switch. I'm more confused now. However, we have decided to do a pre-release and early access to add several content patches in the coming months, and also some of the community feedback. Do they think it's not possible to add updates if you're not early access? That's what it sounds like to me.
Yeah. Maybe I don't have any views on whether or not it's right or wrong, but maybe their thinking is we've got this plan for content, and kind of once we reach that, we want to say, here's the game, it's done, nothing more is coming, ta-da.
Yeah, sure, I guess, but that's not how most people think of early access, right?
I mean, that's not how a lot of people used to think about early access. What does early access even mean anymore? These are just words. They don't mean anything.
Why are you doing this to me? Right, fine. Let's move this along.
You've been away for a month, Al, and you need to...
We've got 3 other roadmaps: Fields of Mystria, Over Magica, and Horticula. They all have roadmaps, and none of us have played any of these games yet, so I don't think we particularly care about the roadmaps, right?
No. The one thing I will say, and this just really stood out to me in the Horticula one, to see Dreamlight Valley's doing this, I just really like things being transparent about whether or not updates are going to be free and or paid, and the Hortikiller one is just very straight up about that, which I think is awesome.
Yeah, no, that's good. Cool. Next, we have Concerned Ape on Twitter saying, quote, "I swear on the honour of my family name, I will never charge money for a DLC or update as long as I live. Screen cap this and shame me if I ever violate this oath."
You know, I read this and I was thinking, like, I'd be kind of down for a Concerned Ape, heel turn where he does start charging for stuff and, like...
His villain arc.
I'd be down for a villain arc for Concerned Ape. That was my takeaway from this tweet.
And then he said, "By the way, I'm not criticising devs who do charge for DLC. Everyone's circumstances are different. This is just my own approach and not to be taken as a critique of anyone else."
And it's also like, it's one of those things that's like, yes, it's very positive. It's great that he's not doing the overly capitalist thing, but equally he's had so much success off the base thing that, like, it's not like some huge magnanimous thing. Like, yes. I don't know.
Yeah. He's doing it because he doesn't need to, and if he hadn't made as much money as he did from the game, maybe it would be different. But I mean, that's good. I mean, realistically, he's living his dream life, right? Like, he has all the money he could need, and he gets to do the thing that he wanted to do and not have anybody pressure him into releasing the new game, and he can just do it when he wants. And obviously, like, people who want to play the game are pressuring, but it doesn't matter. He can just ignore them, right? He doesn't have anyone who can actually pressure him into doing something. He doesn't have a publisher or a boss who's making him do it, specific things, and do it quickly.
Exactly.
Overthrown. I've talked about this on the podcast, but probably I suspect most people won't remember this. But they have a Steam page now. They previously didn't. I found this game on TikTok, of all places. And at that point, I didn't see anything else on the internet about it other than their TikTok page. But now they have a Steam page. And their planned early access release date is 2024. So that's soon. Do you remember talking about this game, Jonnie? Do you have any thoughts on this game?
No, but that's because this game looks like a bunch of things that I don't particularly like. It's survival, open world, crafty, Minecraft bullshit. No, I can't say that. But it's just nonsense. It's a nonsense game for nonsense people.
Fair. I mean, I don't think it actually is survival. There is some combat to it and stuff, but I think it's meant to be Animal Crossing city builder style game with a lot of changes that the developer would like in that, and there's a lot of silliness to it, which is maybe what you're thinking that you're not a huge fan of. But like, what I think, it's things like, so there's buildings for doing different things. So you've got like a sawmill, and you take a tree to the sawmill and it turns into planks. But you can also just pick up the sawmill and throw it at the trees and it turns the trees into planks. And that I really like. It's just very silly.
Yeah, it does seem silly. I think I'm just so done with crafting. Like,
fair enough.
And this feels like a game that, like, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, if someone had come up with this concept, I think I would have been very into it because of it's such a silly take on crafting. I just don't want to craft anything ever again for, like, yeah, particularly like when it's, so crafting went on this journey, right? Of like, hey, we take sticks and you need the sticks to do everything. To then, you take the sticks and you turn them into planks, and then you need, do you need oak planks or do you need teak planks in order to do this? Like, what sort of planks do you need? And now I'm just like, can we just, like, not do that? Like, let's just go back to, I just got a stick and I can build everything off a stick. That's where I'm at with crafting.
Fair enough.
Game looks pretty, though.
I guess we'll see what I actually think of it once I get to play it, but I like the look of it.
I would not blame anyone for liking the look of this game. It does look fun if you're into this sort of thing.
It looks like cartoony Breath of the Wild.
It definitely has strong Zelda vibes. And
you can spin around with your sword so fast that you take off like a helicopter, so...
Okay, I might be back in with that one. That sounds kind of great.
Okay, so we also have 3 pieces of news that are not specifically game-related. Before we get in, we will also have some new games, but I wanted to put them at the end so we could skip them if we wanted to, but I think we'll manage to fit them in time-wise.
Yeah.
The first one is the Hearty Hank plush from Bear and Breakfast is on Makeship. if you're listening to this, sorry, it's already finished. But I think Kevin mentioned it in the last episode, so there you go. But yeah, it's funded. It's all good. So if you want one, too late. If you backed one, you'll get it. Good. There we go. Done. But I mean, this is just, he's so silly. Did you end up getting one, Jonnie?
I have just checked out for my Hank plush.
Nice.
I literally just got the notification to say it has all been confirmed. So yes, I did.
He is so round.
He's so round and he's just so cute.
Yeah.
It's funnily enough, like this is why I think this sort of stuff is quite good, particularly when you do it well, right? Because I played a little bit of Beer and Breakfast. No, I played a decent amount of Beer and Breakfast, but I didn't finish it. And now I've brought the plush, and I'm like, well, I guess I'm going to have to go back and finish the game.
Yeah. Is this plush more expensive than the game?
I'm pretty sure I played the game on like Game Pass or something, so I'm pretty sure I have now spent more on the plush than I have on the game.
Fair enough. Bet the shipping is expensive to you.
The shipping is almost a third of the price of the plush. Which is, it's...
I mean, not bad for getting to Australia, but...
Yeah.
What's the shipping like to me? I don't need this. $9 for shipping to me? It's not dreadful.
Oh, that's what I paid. They must just have a worldwide shipping and...
Yeah.
Be averaging
it's
it
$40. That's the total. £30. It just basically makes it the same number of pounds as it is dollars. I don't need this. I don't need it.
It's not about need. Because I've also managed to find these Cult of the Lamb. These Cult of the Lamb plushes are also pretty good.
Yeah. I have kids.
They also have a blanket.
Next, we have more information about this Sakuna of Rice and Ruin anime. Not only that, but there are like 7 episodes out now, I think. So they're coming out weekly. And shock horror, Jonnie, they've done a good Western release for a Japanese anime. For an anime. I'm shocked. We're getting it same day with subs. Obviously, there's no dub because, on Crunchyroll and on Netflix.
That's exciting. Have you watched it? Wait, is it out? It must be, one of them's out now, right?
There's, yeah. I think it's 7 episodes are out now. Let me double check. We're at 7 episodes out, 6 left to go. I haven't started it yet because I've been catching up on other stuff with being away. But I will be watching it because I do have Netflix just now.
Great. I think I will also be watching this.
Cool. And we also have Marvelous have decided to restructure. And this is like proper restructuring, not the Humble Games restructuring where you just fire everyone. So previously it was a bit confusing about how Marvelous existed because some games came from Marvelous USA and some games came from Xseed. And now they've changed it so that all of the Marvelous Japan games that are being localized outside of Japan are coming under the Marvelous USA brand, which is a little bit weird because like places exist outside of the USA and Japan. And then there are other games like they have third-party publishing. So Moonlight Peaks is one of the ones that they're publishing, and they've published other ones as well. That's coming under Xseed. So this makes sense, right? I've written in the show notes here, it's a more clear distinction, maybe, because now they only have one website, which is the Marvelous USA website. And as far as I can see, there's no store other than the USA store, which previously Xseed Europe had a store for Europe and you could buy games in Europe. But now there's just one store, which is on Marvelous USA, which sells both Marvelous and Xseed games. And now I'm confused again.
Yeah. Well, I know, because there's Marvelous USA, there's Xseed Games, and then there's Marvelous Inc., which is the parent company. And so, I don't know, like, to me, this change feels more like trying to give themselves internal clarity about who's doing what and who has accountability for certain things, right? Where they say Marvelous USA is providing business, operational, and marketing support to Marvelous Inc.'s, like, arcade business unit. Like, to me, it's just like they're trying to draw some clear lines internally. I don't know that externally this A, changes much, or B, makes anything clearer, as you kind of just proved.
Yeah, so I've just tried to go through the process of buying something, and you can't. It's only the US, the US plus the territories that you can ship to. So I think they've just removed our ability to buy games from them if you're not in the US. Huzzah!
I don't even know if that's a good thing or not, but it is now a thing that has happened.
So I never bought anything directly from them, right? Because I didn't. I don't know what my because was. I didn't, right? Like, I didn't. That's just what it is. But I guess I definitely won't now. Okay, let's talk about some new games to finish off. We have 5 new games that have either been announced or I just found out about, and I can't remember which is which. Let's just go through them. Pathless Woods is the first one. This is, I'm going to read out the blurb on Steam. Embark on a cozy... Just, can we stop, please? Please, no, stop. I hate it. Stop saying it's cozy. It's not your job to say it's cozy.
The word cozy does not make Al feel cozy.
Embark on a cozy open-world survival journey inspired by ancient China's heritage. Gather resources, cultivate crops, build your dream home, and defend it from marauders. Team up with friends to explore and uncover a world where adventure meets serenity. This is another game that's saying it's a cozy survival game, and I still don't think that means what you think it means.
I agree. To me, like, in order to be cozy, I kind of feel like it needs to be in the DNA, and like I'm sure this game will have a, peaceful option where you don't have to defend your town from marauders, but like kind of turning off a feature does not a cozy game make, particularly when that's the first word that you use to describe your game. So I'm not sure about that. But overall, I think this game, this game is not really my bag because it's the survival thing. The one thing that was in the trailer that was cool is they showed land terraforming happening, and they had what I assume was sort of like rice paddies or rice paddy fields where they had water in it, and they cut a hole in the land to a lower tier, and then the water started trickling down, and I was like, that seems like a cool way of doing farming, and that was the thing that stood out most to me.
Yeah. This game is out now on Steam Early Access. Yeah, I don't have much more to say.
It does have a unique art style.
Yeah, I like the look of it, but I'm not like I must play this game right now. But I've added it to my wish list, and maybe I'll play it at some point. Next, we have Everbloom. Everbloom is a cute and cozy farming social sim set in a world of whimsy. Grow buckets of popcorn right on the plant, and make chocolate milk by feeding your cows candy bars. Grow, care, build, decorate, and explore the world of Everbloom solo or with your friends.
Yep.
Okay. Sure.
Okay. So this game does the weird thing where you're because you're playing as the humanoid characters in this game are animals, but then there are cows which are actual animals. So it raises lots of questions about the nature of animals in this world.
Yes. We have too many games.
This game? Yeah, we have too many games. And so the crazy thing is, right, this game, based on that description, I'm like, this is probably going to be a really small little, this game looks big, and, it looks good, not in the, it looks fun, I don't know whether or not it looks fun, but it looks good in that it looks really highly or well produced. If this is exactly how the game looks and runs across the whole thing, this could be a little bit of a sleeper hit.
Yeah, maybe. But yeah, we have too many games. I'm struggling to come up with anything to say about this other than the things I've said about the other games. We'll keep an eye on it.
That is entirely fair. Yeah, 100%.
The release is to be announced, so probably not this year.
Hopefully not this year.
Next we have Hamster Garden, which is a Japan-only game, sadly, as of now. But it's it's a farming game where you play as a hamster, right? What else is there to say?
There's one of the DLC hamsters that's mint chocolate chip ice cream, and he's just got a cone for a hat, and
oh, yes,
he's so dumb.
Amazing. This is such a
And
weird game, and it's like properly branded with Switch branding. Like, this feels very like, it almost feels like it's a Nintendo game, but it's not. But it is, yeah, it's weird.
My favorite thing about it is like the expression of like their default expression is just like what I think of as like dumb hamster face, where they just like kind of have like that little like, you know, the round mouth, and they kind of just look sort of surprised and concerned at the same time, which is exactly how I think of hamsters.
There's a hamster with a mustache and a top hat.
You look so silly. Oh, this game is amazing.
Yeah.
Oh my god, there's a green hamster with like a dinosaur head for a hat.
Oh, amazing. Fantastic. The website is very 90s. Like, there's just a random hamster bouncing around the page. You can't control him. He's just there. He's just bouncing around.
I really want to play
going
this
really
game now.
fast. I do want to play this game, but I will not. I will not do this thing where I try and play a game in Japanese. It always pains me.
Yeah, I would not play this if I didn't know what was happening. I say, now that I'm thinking about it, I might play this even if I don't know what's happening. That sounds kind of fun.
Who cares? I mean, you can figure out how to farm, right? It does it really matter what the story is?
No.
Next we have...
Wait, I think this hamster moves... No, it doesn't move with how fast you scroll. Sorry.
No, I thought that for a minute. Like, it felt like I was trying to see him and therefore he got faster, but then he got slower again.
No, his speed just randomly changes.
Yeah. He can go pretty fast. Next, we have Ritual of Raven. Ritual of Raven is a story-based farming sim, but you don't do the farming yourself. Enchant arcana constructs to grow a magical herb garden. Befriend a cute bunch of weirdos and use your witchy skills to perform powerful rituals to stabilize the portals that are causing trouble for the village.
If you want to befriend a cute bunch of weirdos, go to patreon.com/thspod.
There seems to be some card-based stuff in this.
Yeah, like this
but I'm not seeing
more...
what. I just see a screenshot, and there's no description as to what this screenshot is about.
Yeah.
Oh wait, this is like. Oh.
I think it's the instructions.
Oh, now I'm interested.
For the bots.
Oh no. Okay. Yep. Okay. So you set out your cards that defines what happens, and so this is saying like every morning, plow, seed, water, loop, and there's like other cards as well. So you can like. Oh goodness. I'm intrigued now.
Me too. This was a game that I feel like initially was giving me like. It kind of just feels like another in that sort of half action exploration style game, half, build out your farm sort of game. The more I see, the more I am interested in this game. I like the art style. I like the vibes. This game has good vibes.
This game is to be announced release date, so we'll see. But Team 17 are publishing it. They're the Worms people, in case you're not.
I was not aware. What happened to the 16 other teams?
They have published a lot. Apparently, they published Dredge and Overcooked and The Escapists and Moving Out. And they've done a lot of... this is a very long list. I did not realise that Team 17 published so much. And the final game on our list, the final piece of news is Cat Cafe Manager 2 Big City Bliss. Bad name. Just first off, bad name.
I mean, it tells you what the game is.
That's not necessarily a good thing. So I would say the way to describe this graphics is Paper Mario.
Yeah, it's a good description. Yep.
And you are running a cat cafe.
Correct.
Sorry, I should do the blurb, shouldn't I? In this cozy management life sim, care for cute cats and customers while exploring a bustling folkloric city. Build the cat cafe of your dreams and fill hearts with delight using the power of cats, coffee, and community.
Two thoughts. One, I definitely cannot build the cat cafe of my dreams because I'm pretty sure that they will not let me have a lion to eat annoying customers, which I feel like is an important part of a cat cafe. And second, the trailer ends with a cat knocking a coffee cup off a table. So, I don't know, they nailed it.
Approach stray fur babies, minus points for using that, using the ancient psst, psst, psst technique. Plus points for that. And meet them in turn-based cat counters. Okay. Figure out what they like and dislike to slowly win their trust. I'm intrigued.
I am more interested in this than I thought I was going to be.
Yeah, that's the thing. You see the name and you go, ugh, not again. But I'm intrigued by this one. I could see myself playing this, despite not being a cat person.
Have you ever been to a cat cafe, Al?
I have not. I have walked past a cat cafe many, many times. There was one on my walk to the office before I stopped working in an office. And it sounds like a horrible place to try and eat food.
That is exactly my take. I will also, the idea of a cat cafe is not appealing. I would like my animals and my food to be separate unless the animals are my food.
The cat cafe, just to clarify, is not about eating the cats. Just putting that out there.
But what if that's the cat cafe of my dreams, Al? They said I could build it.
And with that, I think we're going to finish there. Thank you, Jonnie, for joining me for this marathon of news.
Oh, thanks for having me, Al.
Where can people find you on the internet?
As usual, if you want to talk about any of the news items, any of the new games that came out, because there's a lot that came out, then patreon.com/thhspod, get access to the Slack, come chat to us there. I'm sure we'll be chatting a lot about Nika in the Witch's Mountain in about 2 days' time as of recording, or live. If you're listening to this episode, we will all have access to it, so come join us, come chat about it.
Absolutely. You can find me on mastodon.scot and on Twitter at thescotbot. You can find the podcast on Tumblr and Twitter at thspod. You can find links to everything that we've published, we talked about and related to the podcast on our website, harvestseason.club, where you can also find a feedback form to send us some feedback. We like feedback. Tell us if Dave the Diver month was too much or not. It was fun, I think, to record the episodes. I don't know what you thought.
Yeah, it was fun. And I thought it was fun to listen to. I had a good time listening to all the different takes on
despite not liking the game.
Yeah, 100%, right? Like, I like hearing about what people, enjoyed or got out of it. Like, the fact that it wasn't for me doesn't mean it's not for everybody, right? Like, obviously, it's a super successful game. So, I liked hearing about it. And I liked hearing about, in particular, I have a weird love for, like, people that go really in depth on lore on specific topics. So I really liked hearing Spencer go deep on some Godzilla lore.
Oh, yes. Yes, so we, as Jonnie mentioned, you can support us on Patreon, patreon.com/thspod, where you can access the Slack, but you also get bonus episodes of the podcast. And as hinted there, we just released a Godzilla one where me and Spencer talk through a lot of Godzilla, both not niche and some pretty niche. So come and listen to that. It was good fun because I was like, how have I had Spencer on the podcast multiple times and not talked to him about Godzilla? So seeing as how we were covering the Godzilla DLC for Dave the Diver, it felt perfect. And also, it was a good year for Godzilla. All right, I think that's everything. Thank you, Jonnie, again for joining me.
Thanks, Hal.
Thank you, listeners, for listening. And until next time, have a good harvest. The Harvest Season is created by Al McKinley, with support from our patrons, including our pro farmers, Kevin, Stuart, and Elisa. Our art is done by Micah the Brave, and our music is done by Nick Burgess. Feel free to visit our website, harvestseason.club, for show notes and links to things we discussed in this episode.
It'd be bad if you were saying pixel art is bad.
Speaking of pixel art... Say again? Did you say it is bad?
No, I was saying it would be bad. We were both trying to make the same transition.